All right, so you guys, this is a burning question. Which one would you take home?
For me, I would take home the 2023.
Welcome back to the channel, guys. I have a special guest. This is Josh Knight. We've got two bikes back behind us that we're gonna give you our opinion on and hopefully help you guys make the decision of what bike you would put in your garage. Before we jump into everything, guys, Josh Knight has a training program that you need to check out to help you be faster and a safer rider, and it's all online, so it's ridewiththeknights.com.
Yep. Head over to ridewiththeknights.com. We have a whole library of training videos. We do weekly drills. We offer physical training programs and really just engage with everybody. It's a
live Facebook group, yeah. And yes, Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube, and they all Ride with the Knights.
Yep, they're all Ride with the Knights.
So guys, go check that out. Also, if you're not subscribed to Dirt Bike Sam, hit the subscription button out. Rocky Mountain ATV link, you know the drill. It's in the description. Click on that. I get a small commission, and I really appreciate it. It helps us do fun stuff like this, so thank you. All right, guys, if you know me, I love two-strokes. Sounds like Josh
I'm a two-stroke guy.
Yeah, loves two-strokes too. I really wanted to answer the burning question for 2023 about these two 125s. Now, if you guys aren't familiar, they had some major updates both to the 2023 Yamaha YZ125X and the 2023 KTM XC. Now, while they're both 125 two-strokes and built for cross-country racing, they are different. There are some of those differences really quick. You can skip ahead if you already know this. This one comes with electric start, and it has a new TBI fuel injection, where this is like the old school two-strokes. It has just a standard carburetor and you gotta kick it, which honestly, basically, if you just breathe on it, it'll start.
You can start with your hand, yeah.
All right, guys, we're gonna jump right into this. We've been riding them all day. Josh, tell us about the YZ125X. Give us your things you like and the things you don't like.
I have been riding two-strokes for a long time. I have a lot of experience with two-strokes. I know how to apply traction to the ground. It's a different process than when riding four-strokes. And so I was really excited today to test out these two bikes. They are both very similar in the sense that they're 125s. Yeah. It requires a little bit extra effort to manage that clutch control. But some of my favorite things about the YZ platform, it just feels kind of like that default motorcycle. It's just kind of that rudimentary design. It's been around for a long time. They have been updating some things, but it's such a good platform, such a good bike that they don't have to do a ton to make it appealing to riders of any level, from professional all the way down to intermediate and beginner riders. And so some of the things that really stand out on the Yamaha are the KYB suspension. That's always an attribute that a lot of riders like.
Triple S.
And so experiencing that today out in the rough terrain here at Jericho is always fun, just being able to push that fork, and really how the suspension complements the chassis and the 125 feel. It's light, it's easy to maneuver, and it's just a fun, playful bike. So if I'm looking for something that's just, I mean, that awesome, really easy beginner bike that's just simple, I don't want to overcomplicate things, then I'm looking at the YZ125.
Yeah, and some of those problems that we've been having with it is we've been chasing jetting a little bit, but once you get it tuned really well, it rips just as good or better than sometimes even the fuel-injected bikes.
Yeah, we did do a little tuning today. We were struggling a little bit with the jetting this morning, so we got our hands dirty, dug in there, changed some jets, the main jet on there, and improved upon it just a little bit. But when you're in the meat of the power, getting traction to the ground, they do feel very similar, and I really like the strength of the 125 on the Yamaha. It feels like a 125, but it always surprises me when you do work for that power and you're on top of your clutch and throttle control, you're making connection with the ground and you're going to move forward.
Yeah, for sure. All right, so now we've got the skinny on the Yamaha. Let's talk KTM 125XC. Give us your thoughts.
Well, honestly, I rode the Yamaha first, and I then jumped on the KTM, and I won't beat around the bush too much. I was just way more impressed with the KTM. I mean, I can't believe how good of a motorcycle it is for a 125. I mean, it's just absolutely amazing. To have that throttle body injection on a 125 and just on all of their two-stroke bikes now is just absolutely amazing. It really defines where the power is on a 125. You have to work for that power. You have to always have a finger on the clutch and make sure that you're just engaging those RPMs and you're there. So you still have to be mindful and proactive to have the power, but it is just clean power all the time. And honestly, everything else on the bike, I'm a little bit more familiar with the AER air fork and some other components on there, but it just worked well. I felt smoother. I felt like I could move around on the bike easier, and the power was just, it was significantly better in my opinion. So
let's jump into that a little bit more. So the suspension, so Yamaha makes fantastic out of the box suspension, and you know, we could argue all day long, but the best stock suspension I feel coming right off the showroom. So how did you feel between the front forks, especially?
Honestly, on a bike, I've got a lot of experience with the AER air fork, and one of the biggest weaknesses of the air fork, in my opinion, and a lot of other riders will agree, is that initial breaking into the stroke, that supple feeling. It's just been hard to achieve that same feeling on the air fork. And that's what the KYB spring fork does so well, is that just initial supple feeling on all this choppy square edge rock stuff. So if you're just isolating kind of the mid-range and then the bottom on the heavy stuff, they're very similar. When you look at that kind of initial part of the stroke, they are different, but the AER air fork has come a long way, and each year they've been improving it. For 2024, they're doing things differently. Spring
in the XCs.
Exactly, but I can say that as I've watched the air fork evolve, it's gotten better, and the newest version of it on the 2023 motorcycles is the best version of it.
Yeah, and guys, you know, Josh is a pro level racer. He's been racing for decades, unbelievably fast, and so his input, you know, he's forgotten more about dirt bikes than than I know. So it's super valuable to be able to take some of that. You know, obviously I'm an average rider. I love to have fun, and part of it is which one is the most fun. And we talk about this, and I even maybe could agree, you know, as a pro level, is what bike do you feel the most comfortable on?
Approaching this kind of from a more advanced rider's perspective, the 125 platform in a lot of the types of terrain that we ride is going to be a lot more sufficient than you think, especially in this tighter terrain. I had a blast on it, and it honestly surprised me with how fast it was.
We couldn't keep up with it.
And so from a purchasing perspective, they're going to be a lot closer in price and MSRP than when comparing this to some of the bigger bore four strokes. So there's a much smaller difference between this bike and this bike than there are between these 125s and your 450s. And so I think that approaching it from that perspective, it's honestly hard for any rider, in my opinion, to really put a bike to its full potential. And so it's fun to try and get closer to that on these smaller bores.
Yeah, and that brings up a great point, is it allows 125 two-strokes really allow you to work on the skills needed to be able to be a better rider all around. And so, you know, some of us make the mistake of going and getting a bigger bore four-stroke or even a 300 two-stroke without properly learning the right technique. And, you know, like I always say on this channel, it's like our number one goal is to have fun, but our number two goal is to be safe. You can't ride dirt bikes if you're hurt. So getting the right bike, getting that mastered, and moving on is always a good idea.
And that's what we were talking about earlier today, is I'm an advocate for beginner riders initiating their riding career on a smaller bore two-stroke. Riding a two-stroke in general is going to be a little bit more difficult to find that power band and that sweet spot in the RPM zone where you have usable power. And so you have to learn to combine throttle and mostly clutch control to always be aware and mindful of your RPMs, so you kind of are achieving that power that you need. Whereas on a four-stroke, it's just a little bit easier. They have a broader power range. So you start on the smaller bore two-strokes, learn those skills, and then translate that onto a four-stroke later in your career.
So you guys got a free lesson there. So go check out ridewiththeknights.com. He has all of the training videos, more value than you can handle. All right, so you guys, this is a burning question. Which one would you take home?
For me, I would take home the 2023 KTM 125XC. I've just been really impressed with how well the throttle body injection works on these two strokes. And so that's really the defining factor. If you're isolating suspension, you're gonna have a great time on either one of these. If you're looking at how simple they are and price, they're very close.
Yeah.
This KTM is gonna come equipped with a couple extra goodies. You're gonna have a little bit bigger tank, and you've got handguards right from the showroom floor. Whereas on
electric
the Yamaha,
start too.
Electric start is a huge one.
Fuel injection, no with jetting. Yeah.
So on the KTM, you are getting a couple extra goodies. The Yamaha's gonna feel a little bit more simple, but for me, fun factor, I was having more fun on the KTM today, and if I had to choose one and take it home, I would be riding this bike.
Yeah, you guys heard it from Josh. Well, so it looks like what we're doing with these bikes is we're trying to find what are the best versions of the 125s. Unfortunately, there isn't that many 125 two-strokes out there. I guess we could get our hands on a Beta 125 or even a Sherco 125, and I think TM makes the 125.
Yeah, they might.
But you know, we're trying to find which one would be the best 125. Get all of our riding buddies, basically have them ride the two bikes back to back, make them pick which one's their favorite, so that maybe we could shortcut some of your buying experience, and you can buy the bike that you feel right for you. Both bikes, to be honest with you, are very good. And this is something that was interesting with these 125s. I actually do prefer the KTM for all the reasons Josh said. I don't need to beat that back into your head. But they ultimately, I feel like I wouldn't be unhappy with the YZ. I just would probably have to put a little bit more work into it to be able to get it to be better, where right out of the box, this new 2023 KTM 125XC is fantastic. So also today, we've been riding our two 250 4-strokes that are built for this terrain, our 2021 Yamaha YZ125X and the Honda, so the 2022 Honda CRF 250RX. Between those two bikes and these two 125s, which one are you taking home?
So out of all four of those bikes, there's a lot of different things to consider. And when it comes to competition, speed, trying to be a little bit more competitive and racing, honestly, I'm gonna feel the most competitive out of all four of those bikes on the 2021 Yamaha 250. That bike, the 250 4-stroke. That bike to me, it allows me to push a little bit harder.
Yeah.
The 4-stroke is a little bit more stable than these 2-stroke bikes, and the power is just easier to achieve overall everywhere. So I'm gonna feel a little bit more competitive on that. But Sam's question is, which one would I take home? Which one is the most fun and then I'm gonna take home?
Yep.
And the answer to that is going to be the 2023 KTM. That one brought a smile to my face more times today than the other bikes. If I wanted to ride, I know what type of trails and type of riding that I'm gonna be going into over the next couple months, and I wanna try that stuff on this. So the 2023 KTM 125XC is my choice for the funnest bike today.
And you know, the funny thing is, between those two, the 4-strokes, I would actually pick the YZ125FX out of all of them. As much as I love 2-strokes, and it pains me to say, mostly just because with my riding ability, I'm still working hard on to getting the most out of this bike. It's really close. But that also leads into, we got a bunch of more content coming up. We're gonna take all these bikes. Hopefully we can talk Josh into coming up to the mountains, riding some enduro, single track, maybe get into some crazy stuff and do some hard enduro with these bikes and pick a winner so that you can make the choice on what bike you want in your garage. So thanks for watching. Thanks to Josh for coming out and ride. It was awesome. We had fun. I learned a ton, and we'll see you guys out on the trail.
Right on.
I think that's a wrap, boys.
That's
Thanks.
a wrap.
The problem is if anything we say is going to end up in the video in the end. He puts everything I say in the bloopers.